Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Liz Gracia. I am founder of the Mind, Body, Spirit Network, and I inspire conscious solopreneurs to reimagine, up-level, and leverage their online marketing investments so that they can shine online in 2018. And today, since it is the second day of the year of 2018, we're going to do a nice little goal-setting workshop. And you might want to get a pencil and pen out there for people that are watching this on video. And I will share some worksheets at the end that you can take with you and go ahead and use what I'm teaching you today that's kind of outlined in these worksheets. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a little presentation for you. And I'll get this out of the way. Let's see, where's all the good stuff? Here we go. Okie dokie. All right, so today's is all about how to set goals. But before I teach you how to set goals and give you some good tips and insights and to do that, I want you to understand the significance of goal setting for your life and your business. And there's some really tremendous statistics out there about the practice of goal setting. And again, my screen doesn't want to forward. Hold on, you guys. Here we go. So we're going to cover the significance of goal setting first. So anything, a goal, a brand, a business, is a dream set to paper. You don't want to just think it. You want to actually ink it. Write them down, and I'll tell you why. All right. People who regularly write down their goals earn 9 times as much over their lifetimes as the people who don't. And this is according to Dave Cole, who is a professor emeritus, I don't know how to say that, at Virginia Tech. So he did studies on this. So regularly writing down your goals is hugely significant. And it's, you know, I'm thick as a brick and I'm like finally getting it. I'm like, I write them down, but here we go. All right, my presentation's misbehaving. Also, even though this is so, only 80% of Americans say they don't even have goals. That's kind of interesting. And it might have to do with consciousness, which we're going to get to in a minute, but if you've been following my teachings on the map of consciousness, about 80% of the world operates from a lower level of consciousness. So this may be one reason for that. Also, 16%, so 16% of people do have goals, but they don't write them down. So we're at 94% of people that don't write their goals down. Yeeks, I kind of feel like a dope because I do write them down on occasion, but I don't review them. So less than 4% are writing them down, and even fewer than 1% are actually reviewing them on an ongoing basis. So here's keys to success in general. And it's pretty compelling that if you want to be successful in life, you got to focus. And a lot of us are like, you know, bumblebees in the garden, like, ooh, I am for sure. Even my dad called me that. Liz, you're not focused. You're like popping around the garden like a butterfly. Ooh, here we go. You're one way or the other. So focus is important. All right. It's also law of attraction at work. What you put your attention to tends to manifest. Whether you believe in law of attraction or not, law of attraction is saying the same thing that laws of consciousness are saying. And putting your attention on a goal is law of attraction at work. Anyone want to argue about that? We can, just to make this interesting, but... So how can you navigate towards success in any endeavor, dream, or wish if you don't have a roadmap? That's what goal setting is all about, is putting your attention on a roadmap to where you want to go. So again, I don't know how this got here again, but there it is. I'm going to tell you, don't just think it, ink it. You got to write it down. All right. Next, we're going to talk about how to set goals. So since I am a big fan of levels of consciousness and Dr. Hawkins' work on the map of consciousness, the first step is you need to be in a positive level of consciousness to even want to do it. If you're at lower levels of consciousness about yourself, about how you feel, what you deserve in your life, that things are never going to get better, you got to turn that around to even want to set goals. So if you find yourself not setting goals, you need to take a look at what those beliefs are that are keeping you from doing it in the first place. So these are the lower levels of consciousness. If you're feeling pride, anger, desire, like frustration, fear, grief, anything, lack of deservedness, these are all states of victimhood at one level or another. And if you ask yourself, what's keeping me from writing down goals, you may find that it's something here. So you need to let go of whatever those negative beliefs are, because it's highly likely they're old patterns of thought that are not true at all. And what the map of consciousness is saying that is, if you have any of these types of feelings, they're not true. They're not the truth of you at all. The truth of you is higher levels of consciousness. Your spirit, your soul, who you really are, is at a much higher level of consciousness than the ego self, which is, So what I'm going to encourage you to do, if you find yourself reflecting on the fact you don't feel like writing it down a goal, first of all, recognize it. And you got to see, like, where am I at? Like, how can I get out of not wanting to write a goal? And the first step to getting power into wanting to do this is to step into courage. So I'm going to encourage you to let go of whatever that negative thought or belief is about why you don't deserve to succeed and why you don't think any type of goal setting is going to help you, and just try to just let go of that lower self and say, screw it. I'm going to have courage, because now you are empowered to have that goal come to fruition. And consciousness, all of these fields of consciousness are impersonal, meaning you have the free will to choose which one you want. And if you want to choose lower levels, like fear, then life is going to bring you more to be fearful about, because you're asking for it. So change what you ask for. This is not God punishing you, which a lot of people will think, God's punishing me. No, God's giving you the free will to choose what level of consciousness you want to play in. What pond do you want to play in? And each one of these levels are different fields of consciousness. They're different ponds. So just be aware of that. If you want to start writing down goals and you have some hesitancy towards doing it, just step into courage and say, you know what, I want to play in a different pond today. I want to play in a different pond in 2018 in general. And courage is the first place where you start to actually get power, where you can manifest your goals. Okay, so I don't have a lot of time to spend on consciousness, but I wanted to at least bring it up because that's kind of my gig. Little Miss Trumpeter of Truth here. We want to go where truth and power exists. So I love this SMART thing. I forget, what do you call these things when you have letters in front that create something? I don't know what they are. You guys know what they are, what I'm talking about. So be smart about effectively setting goals. So the first one is you got to be specific. Be as detailed as you can about something. So for example, I want to make one new friend a month because I moved to a new area and I've decided I want to make one new friend a month, as opposed to just an acquaintance. I have a lot of acquaintances. I want to attract one new member a week into the Mind, Body, Spirit Network. I want to take one masterclass a month this year. And if you guys are on Facebook, there's masters like Ron Howard, who's teaching a directing class. I don't need to know how to direct, but I'd love to take a class from Ron Howard. He's awesome. Or I think it's Helen Mirren is teaching classes on acting. I had no intention to be an actor, but shoot, a master class from Helen Mirren, that would be fantastic. And then there's some chefs in there that I know and admire that I want to take stuff from them. So here's just some examples of specific goal setting things that you can do. And you can make them just super simple. Then you want them to be measurable. So all of my examples are simple and measurable because there's just one of each. And I can put them on a little, spreadsheet so that I can keep track of them. So you can keep track of them in a journal, on a vision board, a bulletin board, so that you can see that things are achieved and are going as I had intended. And I did create a little goal setting worksheet, and I'm going to give you guys one of these. But it's super simple. I've just got each of the simple goals on a line, and then I want one new friend a month, so I'm going to put in January, I'll write that friend's name down. February, there's a new friend, and I'll see how I'm doing. Add 4 new members to the network a month. I'll make little hash marks in January, February. So this is how I'm going to print this out and set it on my desk so I'm reminded, I'm always looking at this. What do I need to do this month? And make sure I'm meeting my goals in a simple way. And then we're going to get into a worksheet. What's coming, what we're doing now is working on more specifics of the goal setting process. But this is just a simple overall thing when you have mixed goals. You have lifestyle goals, you have vacation goals, family goals, whatever it is, career goals. You put them in a nutshell right here so you can see it. The next step is that they need to be attainable. And typically, if you've proven in the past that you can accomplish these things, that's something where you can say, well, can I do it? Yes or no? And if you don't feel it's attainable, you got to understand what are the steps involved to get to that point where it becomes attainable. Now, I don't want to limit you at all as to what you can attain. And Jeff Bezos of Amazon is an example of how don't put any limits on yourself. He was living out of a garage apartment, and 5 years later, he's worth $10 billion. That's a huge goal. There's no reason you guys can't have a huge goal. And I'm a big fan of HGTV's Fixer Upper. I don't know if any of you guys watched Johanna and Chip Gaines, but I just read their books. And in their 5 years, they've accomplished huge things. If you go see, they have a giant retail establishment now. They've got real estate offices all over Texas. They got a TV show. They're doing, they've got tons of stuff going on. Granted, a TV show helped launch them, but they got out of the way. And they had it in their hearts to serve. And life showed up and said, hey, you want a TV show? Don't limit yourself to what is possible. So the next step is to be relevant. And I like to use Jeff Bezos' example because he had a huge goal. So he had to come up with a bunch, like a dozen goals in between that he needed to get alignment with, right? Financing, logistics, team building, technology. He had to have goals that were relevant to the bigger goal. So the bigger goal was to launch Amazon and be worth $10 billion. I don't know if that was his goal, but that was what happened. But you need to create smaller goals in between when you're looking at attainability. Like, I need to have some goals that are relevant to my attainability interests. So that's kind of where relevancy would come in. If you're setting goals for something big, don't sidetrack yourself with something that's off, that's not on the mark. It's like taking it in another direction. Stay focused on one thing right now. And I just read something that was really interesting. And it had to do with Ralph Lauren. Like, a lot of people have big goals, and I do too. Like, I would love to do what Chip and Johanna Gaines do. I love interior design. I love retail. I love home furnishings. I love artistry in any way. But they didn't do it all at once. They started focused on flipping houses and interior design. They had a focus. And Ralph Lauren didn't, he's got everything under the sun now. He's got the same thing. Same with Oprah, Martha Stewart. They have magazines, television shows, all kinds of licensing deals going on. But they all started with one singular focus and got really good at it. And Ralph Lauren apparently started with ties. He started designing ties, and that's how he built his brand. He stayed focused on one thing. And after you get really good at that one thing and become known for it, then you start branching your brand into other areas. So that's a lesson I needed to learn, and just like go with it. All right, be time bound. You want to put a date on it. You don't want to be, airy fairy about it. Like, later this month, later this year. Put a more specific date on it. And when you put that date on it, now you have the pressure to get it done. All right. And if you're looking at your wall or your vision board, which I have on my wall right now, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta knock these things off my list and get them done, because I promised myself I would do this. So you got to put a time frame on things. And if it's a year-long goal, you've got to break it down into month things that'll never get done. But that's my guess. That's my own experience. I put a goal out there that's a year out, I better fill in the blanks on how I'm going to get there with some relevant goals to get me there. Okay. So what are some other aspects of goal setting that you want to consider? Vision is good. What's your bigger vision for these goals? What's that overarching reason that you're setting these goals in the first place? And make sure it's in your heart of hearts to actually attain them, and that it's not somebody else's goal that you think you should attain. Don't set a goal for yourself that's based on someone feeling like you got to prove yourself to somebody else. That isn't going to be work, because there's no heart into it. It's going to be painful, and it's going to take force to get you to do it, because you don't really want to do it. It's not in your heart of hearts. So decide what your overall vision is for your life this year. Keep it simple. It's always good to reach out, which I have not been able to do visioning for 3, 5, and 10 years. I have not done that. But I still get stuff done. Anyway, vision. That helps kind of root who you are into your heart. So you use the energy of higher consciousness in the heart to help you get there, which is based on what I read about Joe and Joanna and Chip Gaines. They are heart-centered people, period. They trust God and life and the whole process, and things just work. So get grounded in the heart and use the power of the heart to get you where you want to go. That's what I have to do, because I have big visions, and I'm like, I got to get out of my way and just let it happen. Although I'll keep moving on. Another great thing you need to kind of root yourself in is your values. If you're going to set a goal, what's important about this goal, and why does it matter to you? What's the value of doing this to you? What's the value of creating this goal for others? If, you have a company that serves others, there's got to be value in it, so that you align when you're setting your intentions for what your values are, you're going to attract people with similar values, because you're emanating this frequency of value, and now you know solidly what they are. If you don't think about it, it's kind of like, a compass is broken. You haven't really determined what your values are, kind of out here floating around, but when you write it down, you focus on it, you look at it, remind yourself. Now you're rooting yourself in something that's true and can attract to you what you want, because those impersonal levels of consciousness I'm talking about are paying attention. And if that compass is set on a value, all the consciousness around that level is going to come to you. Make sure it's positive. You don't want to be focused on negativity, because life will send you that too, and that stinks. You don't want that. Focus on the good and let that field of consciousness do the work. That's what law of attraction and Abraham's always talking about. It's like, your non-physical friends are the fields of consciousness you choose to play in. That's what's going on there. All right, so values matter. Measurements, again, how will you know that you're successful? And you might want to just think about this. How will I know I'm successful? What does it mean? This is redundant, but I'm going to say it again. You got to measure how you know you're successful. And try to do this exercise at least once a month so you get into the habit of doing this. Because people that are successful, this is a habit. It's a pattern of success and focus and consciousness that they're using to have a lovely life. Okay, methods. This is like, what steps are you going to take to assure your success? Like, how are you going to do, if you want to do what Jeff Bezos did, how are you going to get there, right? And an example for him was like, he's got to figure out, he was probably the technology guy. I don't know. Maybe he was super smart in technology. So he's got to line people up around that. You got to line people up around, like Deborah wants to have these weekend getaways, weekend retreats. How she's got to start thinking, what's the steps I got to take now to launch this next fall? So you got to figure out what are those steps going to be and how you're going to get there. It can't necessarily just be a wing and a prayer. You got to align your level of consciousness with getting there. And if you got to get, yourself out of the way, you got to do that too. I mean, a step to success could be letting go of negativity that keeps showing up. That would be a huge step to success, to let go of that. And Dr. Hawkins has proven that when you let go of negativity, you can make quantum leaps in your consciousness and quantum leaps in your experience. So if there's any residual stuff keeping you from having what you want, if you address that first, everything else will come much more easily, because you'll be aligned with power and not still mucking around in lower consciousness that keeps you stuck there, which I am very aware of that, gang. I know from whence I speak. So that lower frequencies are magnetic and they'll keep you stuck. That's what being blocked is. It's being stuck in those lower frequencies. So methods to success, my advice is to get rid of the negativity that's in your way, if there is any, and then you start taking steps. But taking steps also will help build confidence. And you'll start feeling better about results, and then you'll start building like a snowball. Taking steps builds confidence, which is positively oriented. Start snowballing that to where you want to show up. All right. Obstacles. What might be in the way of my success? So energetically, I just told you what might be in the way. Is any type of negative belief that's still running. You might want to get rid of that obstacle. What could be tying me down? So other obstacles could be financial, for example. Like you may not have the finances to fund something that would help you make a leap. That could be one obstacle. So you got to figure out, how can I turn that into an advantage, opportunity? So look at obstacles that might be in your way. Maybe you have a full-time job. You look at that as an obstacle. How could you turn it around into an opportunity? Like turn what you perceive from, you have a job. You're like, woohoo, I got money coming in so I can pursue my dreams. That's a turnaround. Pivot your thoughts on the obstacles. Identify them because, you know they're there, but then pivot them and see how you can turn them around to work for you, or get them out of the way altogether. All right. What are some other keys to success? Accountability. Who can you be accountable to? It's nice to have a friend, a coworker, a family member that's supportive. You want someone who supports what you're doing. You don't want naysayers, because, they're no fun. You can do whatever you want. Absolutely. There's no limits. Look at Jeff Bezos. Holy crow. All right. There's no limit to what you can do. If Jeff can do it, I can do it. That's for sure. All right. But you don't want naysayers in your corner at all. You want mentors, people that encourage, that can look at your process and maybe have a better eagle's eye view that can say, maybe you need to change this, Someone who can have an eagle's eye view is the best way to say it, that they'll look at it from a higher perspective and help you, not hinder you, or not crush your dreams. You don't want dream crushers. They're no fun. But you may need someone to, take it to the ground you. Okay, another key to success is commitment. And what would a commitment look like? And, based on the research, consistently writing down your goals is one commitment. Hello. Only 4% of people do this. Why don't you be one of the 4%? I know I'm going to be. I got to walk the talk here, you gang. So, and I'm going to review my goals every day. They're going to be sitting right next to my desk on the wall here. So that would be commitment. Commitment to success is to use this tool that's proven to work if you want to be successful in life and be focused. Focus is my word for the year. So maybe you've heard, what's your year going to be what's your word for the year? Mine is focused, thriving. I've got two. Focused, thriving. So commitment would be to write down your goals and review them at least monthly and make revisions as needed. You also want to when you're reviewing, you've got to see where you're at. You got to compare your plan to your results. Did you hit your target, or do you need to revise some things? And this is where an accountability friend would come in handy. If you didn't hit your target, maybe they can talk you through how you could get there. What's a better approach that maybe you didn't see and someone else can see. So you got to review your goals regularly, especially if you have monthly goals or weekly goals, whatever they are. You got to review them at the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year. Like, where am I at? Where did I fall? Where did I stop doing goal setting and give up? That would be a sign that you've got beliefs running that aren't supporting you still. So you got to take a look at that and try to let go of them somehow. So if the goal wasn't realized, you got to take corrective action and take a look back at any mistakes or missteps that you may have made and modify your course of action. That's all you need to do. Don't say I failed, because see how far you came just by setting the goal, because you probably will have accomplished something, but maybe you didn't make it at the time frame you wanted. That's okay. At least you set the goal, because if you haven't been setting goals in the first place, congratulate yourself for at least going this far. So that's something, and have confidence that you can make it happen. I like this part. Give yourself a reward. So I'm going to give you this goal setting worksheet shortly. And part of it is, what's your reward going to be? Doesn't have to be huge, but give yourself something, right? Rewards matter, and they're incentive to stay on course. So I love, I like to be treated with massage, a haircut that has a head massage, facials, any type of spa treatment. I love that for small goals. Treating myself to a nice dinner out with a friend, that's a small goal. And then when you hit your big goals, you decide what they're going to be. So reward yourself. And you're going to get to do this on my worksheet, because I'm going to let you. There's a place to write in your reward. So B.J. Marshall said, I don't quite know who he is. I Googled him, but he's a doctor of some sort. But he made a good point. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Nothing. Bummer. Who wants that? I don't want to hit nothing every time. I want something every time. So aim at something. So I'm going to repeat myself. People who regularly write down their goals earn 9 times as much over their lifetimes as the people who don't. And again, only 4% of the population writes them down. So decide your goal is going to be, I'm going to be one of the 4% that writes down my goals. That's huge. That alone. Go straight for that. Because it's only the ones that are writing down that are doing 9X. If you want to be financially successful and have resources to do what you want in your life, you got to write them down, period. The end. There's no argument. Unless you want to. I'm all for an argument. Who wants to fight? John, he's a fighter. No, John's a lover. No, John's a liar. I forgot. All right. And then if you review them, it's likely that earnings figure will go way up. And guess what? People that are writing down their goals, even though they're having financial success, that's probably not their goal, because they're heart-centered, of higher consciousness, focused on something that they love, and money just comes as a frosting on the cake. Because part of consciousness is letting go of having to have any of it. That's, Hawkins discusses that often. He's like, Hawkins has proven with consciousness, if you put your attention to anything, it's highly likely you're going to manifest it. But key to that is letting it go. Enjoy the process. Have fun with what your goals are. So make sure the steps that you're going to take are fun steps. And, when you look at consciousness is about having a good time. So that's how you know you're headed in the right direction, is you're having a good time. Of course, naysayers like me and cynics, which I used to be, I have, a tendency towards myself. Don't believe it, but, the proof is in the science. I'm going with that. Science is love and happiness is way more powerful. So if you're having fun with what you're doing and loving what you're doing, it's highly likely you're going to achieve your goals and have more than enough money. So I asked you guys all, what is one goal you could set for your business this year? I think we all said that at the beginning. And the Mind, Body, Spirit Network Meetup group is to help grow your business. That's the overarching vision for this, is to give conscious solopreneurs like you resources to get to your next step, to understand, like, if you want to do it yourself, this is what I need to do. If you need help, I'm here to help you. But one of my goals for this year is to really embrace the fact that branding in a company or a business, or if you're a solopreneur, personal branding, it came to me as an aha moment, is vitally important, because it's really taking goal setting and law of attraction to a very specific part of your business. And it's getting clear about who you are, what you stand for, what's your vision, what's your mission, what's your values, what do you offer people? And to go through this a branding exercise to get super clear on this is aligning your energies in a focused way. And it's putting yourself into a field of consciousness that recognizes that field and wants to support you with more of that. So I knew that's what was missing in my business, is that I was too scattered, because I want to be everything to everybody. And my goal this year is to simplify everything in a big way and do only a couple of things really, really good right now. And one of them is the network, for sure, the Mind, Body, Spirit Network. I want that to thrive, and I want my members to thrive, and I want that to be significant. But I also understand that in order for my members to thrive, they got to get clear on who they are and what they stand for. So I'm creating a brand building workshop that'll run probably every 6 weeks, because it's essential, and I'm only going to take on like 12 people a month to do it, because I want us to work together in focus and support and consciousness to do this. So something to put on your back burner for the year. If you're floundering in your business, you got to look into brand building. And if you're a solopreneur, it would be personal brand building, so that you understand how you're showing up, and make sure you're showing up consistently with who you intend to be based on your values and things like that. So I'm introducing this workshop. If any of you are interested, you can put in the chat box that you're interested. I'm finishing up the outline of that course. And essentially what it's going to look like is we're going to do 6 weekly 2-hour group training sessions online on Zoom, just like this. And I'm going to go dive deep into how we're going to create an impactful personal brand for you moving forward in your business. And then once a week, we'll have an open Q&A, so everyone can bring their ideas, some of the homework tasks that you'll have, so you can get consultation from me and feedback from me. And then there's one-on-one coaching sessions for everyone as well. So those are 45-minute sessions, so everyone gets one-on-one with me. And then I have a done-for-you deliverable of choice that's valued at $500, and that'll depend on whether you need a logo and a business card, you need some market research done, you need extra time with me. There's all these different options. So that's what the Art of Crafting an Impactful Personal Brand Workshop is going to look like. And that's going to start, I got to put a goal on this. I'm thinking January 17th. So if anyone is interested in that, you can email me or just put in the chat that you're interested in that, and we can talk about it. So, so a year from now, you wish you'd started today. Because you know what? I'll do this a year from now, and we'll see where everyone is. That could be interesting if everyone set that goal today. And then in a year from now, we review it. I know I'm going to have to do it because look at me. I got to walk the talk. Or walk the talk, not talk the walk. Whatever. All right. Whoops, let's go back. Let me get out of the screen and see if anyone has questions. Did we have any questions there, Deborah? I'm going to unmute everybody. Hold on. There we go. All right. Any questions? Anything in the chat, Deborah? I see there's 5. I wasn't reading them, though.
No, not really. They're just some comments about the acronym, and Mary gave some actually suggestions for some of the online classes and that type of thing, but okay, not really any subject matter questions.
Okay, so everyone understands the goal setting process. Who's a goal setter here? Deborah, you do vision boards, so that's part of goal setting, isn't it?
Yes.
And have you done your vision board for the year?
I had a session with a friend of mine, and I have 2 vision boards, and I'm going to be creating another one. Cool. And so we spent time reviewing our vision boards to see what was manifest. And then I just added some other things to that current vision board.
Now, I understand people that do vision boards tend to have success.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I'm going to share mine because you'll love this. Hold on. Okay, so how long have you been doing vision boards?
About 2 years. I mean, I've done some in the past, but teaching vision boarding and really being intent about it, only about 2 years.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, but I'll try to get out of the way. So here's my vision board, and this is based on my business, which is hard to say. Does that come in backwards for you, or you can read it forward?
We can read it.
Okay. So this is I love this little, can you see this table here? It's a farm table out in the field. Uh-huh. So there's a little pin mark for every new member that comes into the network this year, and little heads.
Good idea.
So that's fun. I got little pins going on here. And then I've got goals for the month, January, February, March here, and then every goal that's met gets a pin, you know. So you fill it up like a map. And what other goodies do I have here? Yeah, anyway, simple ways. I'm turning everything into simple ways. I'm not going to do everything under the sun anymore. And then our network, find a perfect sense of community and lifestyle. So what we're doing now is part of the network, which I love, building community here and having fun. And one of my archetypes is design. So down here, like floral design is really, innovation in design is my cup of tea. That's why I created the network. I'm like, I love design, and I love mind, body, spirit designing for those types of businesses because it's beauty and essence. And that's my vision board gang. So vision boards are fun. And that's my first one. So
awesome. Yeah, one thing that I'm going to actually steal your idea about the pins. I think that's a great idea. But one thing that
the pins, you mean?
Pardon?
The thumbtacks, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I realized this year when I was looking at, my friend and I were taking time to review our vision boards. The majority, I have some blockage regarding some things that I need to work on. but the majority of the things that I put on my vision board came true.
Oh.
Were manifest. And so what that taught me is I need to dream bigger and more specific and more, because the things that I did put on there were manifest, but it still wasn't enough. It still wasn't going completely into what my dream is and my vision is. So that's one thing I noticed.
I'm glad that you're speaking this out loud. So everyone who's hearing this, I've heard it too with other vision board people. That things tend to manifest on vision boards.
There's squirrels out there.
And I'm sharing with you guys right now the simple spreadsheet that I showed you at the beginning. So you could just do simple set simple goals, and it comes in a PDF form and a Excel spreadsheet form. So that's the simple one I just shared in the chat. You guys can grab it there, whichever version you need. If you can use Excel, you can just fill it in. If you like to handwrite things, then the PDF might be the way to go. You just print that out. And then the second share I'm sending here is the comprehensive goal setting worksheet, which I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like. Let me share my screen. Hold on. So let me get out of here. The comprehensive goal setting worksheet looks like this. So it's for one goal. So you're going to get specific. It's going to show, you're going to have a measurability place, an attainability column, write in your relevancy, what's the time frame for this, and then getting more intentional, what's your vision in regards to this goal, what are your values, again, how will you know you're successful, steps or methods to get there, and then any obstacles that might be in your way, and then follow-up extras would be accountability. Are you going to get to be your accountability partner? And then you want to compare that plan. You're going to say, when am I going to look at this again? So if it's in a month, if it's or 6 months, you got to look at it and see what's going on there. And then whatever corrective action you may have to take if you didn't realize your goal. And then what's your reward? Woohoo, I like this box. Put your prize in there. All right, so that's what that one looks like. And the other one was just a simple spreadsheet, which was not this one. Hold on. This guy. This simple one. So this you can have a bunch of different simple goals. Like I had personal ones that I just filled out here that once a month I'm going to take a class and I can just mark it off. Yep, I took my class here, there, and I'll put in like Ron Howard I took in January, Thomas Keller, who's a famous chef in Napa Valley. I want to take his class, whatever. So that's what those two worksheets are for.
So if you don't want, like say you have a goal where in March I want to hold my first workshop, then you can just maybe fill in just the date in March that is your goal instead of putting whether it was accomplished or not.
Yeah, well that can go on the bigger thing.
The sheet. Yeah,
the comprehensive goal worksheet, you'd have that date in March, and then that smaller one, you could modify what I've done. I mean, it's super simple.
Okay.
And just like highlight the March box with a color so that you know, okay, I got to get this done by then. You know, if I have a different color for it, that would be good for that overall view of what's going on. And then maybe you use thumbtacks to put a thumbtack in there to really, because it makes it more like three-dimensional. It's like, whoa, I really did something, you know. Life to it, and you start to feel good about yourself. Look at all my thumbtacks. Woo! You know, small things for the little mind. And there's a massage at the end of it. All right. Any other comments or thoughts on goal? Anyone had success with goal setting? I've had success. I just didn't always write it down. I'd write it down at the beginning of the year, and then I'd butterfly away. That's me.
You know, one time I was testing the goal setting concept. I just finished my PhD, and my private practice had about 2 or 3 people a week. And in January of that particular year, I said, I need to have at least 15 clients by the end of March. And I set that as a goal. I started doing all the things you're supposed to do, sending out letters, making calls, introducing myself. The last week of March, I had 18 clients on my appointment book, of which 14 of them showed up. So it really matched well. And when I looked at the efforts that I had made, probably 6 or 7 of those 14 people that showed up did not come from any direct marketing. They came from the universe providing.
Nice.
So I was very specific, I was very targeted, and the results were very measurable. So everything that you just said really worked well. And of course, this was a test for me, and I couldn't have been happier with that.
So on a point you're just making, that you didn't market to half of those people, what I'm finding with a lot of people that are successful at branding is they don't market anymore, because the life and the vibration is magnetized to you without having to broadcast yourself anymore, because there's a higher consciousness working. This is where higher consciousness comes in. You're aligning with the truth about you and your values and what you provide, and you've written it down, and you've told life, this is who I am, and you stick to it. When you go through a branding thing, you create a brief where you refer to it, just like goals. Like, all right, if I'm going to put this out there, is it in alignment with who I am? Is it in alignment with my values? And if you go like off brand, so to speak, that throws the compass off, So branding is about getting the compass straight, pointing true north. And when you not paying attention to what you want this business to be, and you fall from that, that's where you have problems. But John, higher consciousness John, who's also a liar, still gets, his intentions were met without having to market. And that's what I would, I do way too much. I don't need to do all this because I have good intentions. I just got to get clear on them and stop flitting around my garden. All right. Thank you for that share, John. It's good to have everyone who's listening to this reinforced, like, this stuff works. It totally does. And all my non-physical friends out there, that chat to me are like, yes, Liz, you got to get, I'm going to tell you, I hear stuff just like Cheryl. Cheryl is a little more fine-tuned than I am, but I can tell when I'm getting truth. And I keep hearing, you got to simplify this, lady. Make it simple. Simple, you guys, simple, simple, simple. That's the simpler, the better. Because we're all trying to be too much to everybody. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. All right. Well, we're going to close up early today because it's 10:05, woohoo, unless anyone would like to chat or ask questions. Next week, yes, Deborah.
This is not related to anything that we're talking about.
That's fine.
But maybe a little bit in branding. Okay, remember I told you that one of my goals is to do the boost camps.
Yes.
Okay, so I was on GoDaddy today looking for the domain name.
Yep.
And I was thinking about one of the things that you told us about branding. So I'm thinking that all of my activity should be easily recognizable as Grateful Om.
Yeah.
Grateful Om Live.
Yeah.
So should I get a domain name, Grateful Om Live Boost Camp, or Grateful Om Live /Boost Camp, or should I do Boost Camp alone without it being attached to Grateful Om Live? What?
Good point.
I'd say go with the main Om Life, and then you can always make the slash for every single different event you create throughout the year.
Yeah. You can buy the Boost Camp one if you'd like, Deborah, because you're going to have Grateful Om Life will be tied to that, any type of landing page that comes of that, or whatever. You'll still have the Grateful Om Life thing there, just because it's an easier domain to share.
Boost Camp?
Yeah, Boost Camp is easier to share than Grateful Om Life Boost Camp.
Yeah, and I went on, and Boost Camp is not available, just like my Grateful Home Life.
Yeah.
There was a guy that said it was available for $11,000, and I'm like, yeah.
No.
So I'm going to do boostcamp.me. I think that should be fine, or My Boost Camp.
My Boost Camp. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I agree with Mary, but to have a separate domain that's easier to share does make sense for marketing purposes.
Okay.
So myboostcamp.com or boostcamp.me. What is it?
Either one. It's myboostcamp.com or boostcamp.me.
Look
Okay.
for ORG as well.
What's .org? Oh, org.
Oh, it didn't give me that.
It kind of suggests nonprofit, though, to me.
Org or .net?
.org does.
And what about .net?
.net, I think I like the more fun ones these days as opposed to .net. I don't know.
So stay with .com and just
Or
say
boostcamp.me.
Or boostcamp.me.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there some fun ones too, Deborah? Like, I know there are, like .yogi, .guru, .scooby-doo.
I saw Guru, but I didn't see anything about Yogi.
Okay.
They had directory, they had photography. I didn't see anything that I thought particularly matched well.
Okay. I love these new extensions, but .com is still whatever one thinks. Like
I think so. Myboostcamp.com then.
Yeah, people will immediately assume it's .com. And then when they don't find you there, they're like, oh, where'd it go?
Okay.
So
Perfect.
Here's one more complicated thing to do, which is not simple. You could buy myboostcamp.me and myboostcamp. Don't do it. No, you don't need to do that.
Well, actually, I had both of those in my cart.
Yeah.
And I thought, I probably need some advice on this. I don't need to just be spending money because it's a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So
I'd stick with if you can get a .com, I'd stick with that.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
My pleasure. Happy New Year to everyone. And next week, I am doing a repeat webinar because I am launching this new personal branding thing. But it's still a useful one. I used the tree webinar I did. So you are a tree. And it's a metaphor for you and personal branding. And it's something I learned from my personal branding coach. And I really love the metaphor as the tree. So you understand energetically what's going on. And most people are out here in the leaves. There's no roots whatsoever, which is the problem. It's the problem. And another great metaphor I've come up with is to use personal branding or any type of branding as an iceberg. What's below the ocean of an iceberg is huge. And that's really the essence of what you want to vibrationally bring into your life, is setting that foundation is what we're doing. So we're going to repeat that one next week. And then the week after that is hopefully Linda Armstrong doing something with us, our Theta Healing Queen. We'll see how she's feeling. She wasn't quite up for it yet, but she might be now. I'll have to email her. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. And we'll see you. Have a great Happy New Year week. And we'll see you all again. Bye, John. Good to see you, my dear. Thanks for joining us. Ciao. I better stop the recording.